So at this time, I'd like to introduce you to our keynote speaker. Our keynote is Eric Stoller. Mr. Stoller is a higher education thought leader, consultant, writer, and speaker. He frequently speaks to institutions and students about digital identity development. So with a background in student affairs, academic advising, among other things, he focuses his energies on educating students and captivating audiences. He received an associate's degree from Indian Hills Community College, a bachelor's in communications from the University of Northern Iowa, and a master's in education in college student services administration from Oregon State University. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Stoller to Curry College.
My first piece of advice is always work on your professional bio. It's probably the driest thing you'll ever have to have out there on the web, but everybody wants one, and you have to brag about yourself, so it's really unfortunate. So I'm glad that you included where I did my 3 degrees, because a lot of times people drop off my associates, which was when I was this big, going to get my first degree when I was, what, 18 in Iowa. How many of you are from New England? Okay, I almost froze to death today. I spent 9 days in Costa Rica. I came back to Boston, and it was 60 degrees. And I thought to myself, all right, it's winter now. I can survive this. And then yesterday, it was like the Arctic, and then today, I made the unfortunate decision of parking at the event parking lot. But it was for a different event, not this particular event. And so I ended up down the hill, and I thought to myself, you know, this all started because of Apple. Because Apple took me the wrong way on Atherton with the map. And I got there, and there's this yellow fence. And I thought to myself, I have 2 choices here. I can go through the fence with the car, which is my girlfriend's, because my car's in the shop, and I thought she might not appreciate that if I destroy her car on this little adventure. So I thought, okay, I'll just spin around, and a woman was walking her dog and glaring at me, and I thought to myself, all right, well, I'm having quite an adventure today already. TGIF. And I thought to myself, you know, really, you all are going to have some serious adventures here coming up when it comes to what I like to call the J-O-B. Some of you may not have gone to spelling bees. That's okay. Now, I happen to use a lot of sarcasm. You just took part in it a little moment ago. So I'm going to have some sounds, some videos, some whatnot in my presentation. You may have noticed that the podium is larger than me. I tend to like it when they're a little smaller, so I have something to move. But I'm going to kind of fly through a lot of slides today. I have about 96 slides. And the sound of the ocean. Lulling you to sleep as we begin this conference. Now, a lot of times you go to an event, and what happens is the presenters will say, silence your phones, put them in your pocket, remove the battery. Well, if you want, how many of you are on Twitter? And if you're on Twitter right now, that's okay, because in a few moments, I'm going to actually grant you permission to tweet. So if you're on Twitter and you do tweet, we're going to actually go ahead and do some tweeting today. Now, you may have noticed something. The Curry Senior Conference hashtag, conveniently, is as long as the screen. Which is actually obscured by, I'm not even sure what, some piece of fabric or something up there in the ceiling. So what's going to happen is we're not going to use it because, as you can clearly tell, it's too long. And I apologize in advance if anyone's offended, but with Twitter, you only have 140 characters, right? And if you go through and you say Curry Senior Conference, you've used up how many already? And then you have nothing else to say. You have to abbreviate everything. So if you want to tweet today, you have some thoughts, some questions, please feel free to use Curry Senior Conference. Additionally, let's just hijack the Curry College hashtag, because that's really what this is about. You're promoting the school, you're promoting your learning, you're promoting your experience, you're promoting yourself. So there's nothing wrong with you tweeting using the Curry College hashtag. And if you want to say something pithy, insightful, useful, and or just complain about sarcasm, It's okay. Feel free to tweet at me as well in your post, your comment, at Eric Stoller. That's my username on Twitter. Folks, just use your name. It's far easier than getting cute with it, being all like Purple Dragon 24. It just doesn't work. And especially when you try to transition into that sort of real world experience, the dragons and the purple, it's just gotta go. Now, a few of you will misspell my last name. It will happen, I guarantee it. What will happen is you will see an R between the T and the O right here. Trust me. I will go back onto Twitter later and I will search for your tweets and I will see tweets to Eric Stoller and I will say to myself, au contraire, I can go up escalators. Strollers cannot. Now some of you will still mess with me anyway, and that's okay. I admire your moxie. Any Instagrammers in the house? All right, well, I prefer Walden if you're thinking about filtering me. I find that it works well with my Costa Rican tan. But please feel free to take some shots as well. I always find it's good to sort of document the day, take some photos, engage in sharing. Because some of you, how many of you actually want to use social media in your work? Want it to be part of your job? A few of you. And it might not be directly related, but you might end up doing it someday down the road. So that's really the crux of this talk. When I talk about digital identity, it's about your presence online, mostly using social media. Now I just noticed what you may discover when you're out in the wild doing these sort of conferences is you'll see someone called the iPad photographer. When you see the iPad photographer, pause a moment because it takes them a little bit longer to take a photo and it makes them more awkward for a few moments. I'm not going to point them out even though I have a laser pointer. They know who they are. Now I'm at the MFA the other day and I see this piece of sculpture made out of neon lights. And I thought to myself, this is perfect for the conversation around digital identity because it's everything that you share and do, how you present yourself, the good and the bad and the really, really ugly. And fortunately for you all, I've done a lot of searching, so I've got some good ugly to share today. Like really good ugly. There are no freshmen in the room, correct? Yes, a few of them aren't going to like me afterwards, which is probably why I parked really far away because I don't want them to key my car. It's true. Now, a bunch of you are already on Twitter. How many of you are on Facebook? And how many of you have been on Facebook for what you would say a really long time? Yeah, it's like the OG now. You're just there, hanging out. You've been through so many changes and people complaining, and you've worn a hoodie every other day. Facebook is sort of just like the internet anymore. We've got some folks on Twitter. How many folks are on Instagram again? Okay, Tumblr? Anybody on Tumblr? Okay. Pinterest? Anybody just get addicted to that thing? Just keep scrolling? And you think just one more. I'm just gonna, and then you don't stop. You're like, 8 hours later you go, you know, I know how to make the best cookies now. and maybe homework can happen after that. Your digital identity is important. I'm going to talk about how it's important, what you can do with it, how it can be beneficial and not so beneficial. When we talk about Facebook, for example, it's been around since how long? 2004, right? When Facebook gets to be a decade long. That's like forever on the internet. If it was a dog, it'd be 70. That means most of you weren't thinking about jobs and careers and interviews when you posted all kinds of stuff. I looked at my Twitter archive last night. Wow. Let me tell you. I'll share some of that in a little bit here. But first, I want to talk about taco. This is a hashtag, by the way, if you're not on Twitter. You'll notice the capital T, the little A, the capital C, and the little O. So, I'm in the north end of Boston. across the street from Mike's Pastry, there's this little restaurant called Pomodoro. Pomodoro is about the size of this stage, the part that's in front of the screen. And having dinner there, they don't have a lot of seats, so they put you by the window. So you're watching the street there. You're watching everybody going to Mike's Pastry. It's good people watching, and I mean good tourist people watching. People, you know, you're just worried for everyone because they're going to get run over, cars are triple parked, people walking out, boxes of cannolis. It's a typical day. So, eat dinner, notice this silver Mercedes SUV pulls up. Think to myself, all right, whatever. Guy gets out. Kind of looks, he's a teenager, maybe going to prom. Kind of looks like he's wearing his dad's clothes. Stuff doesn't really fit him. He's wearing a tie that's just far too wide. I'm thinking, all right, a little awkward here. Out gets a girl. I think, oh, what a cute couple, you know, they're going to prom. And I think to myself, wait a minute, this isn't prom season. And then I kind of have this second moment where I think to myself, wait a minute, I know her. Blonde hair, bright red lipstick, skin that's almost transparent, looks like she hasn't eaten in days. That's Taylor Swift. Wait a minute, Taylor Swift is coming into this restaurant. Taylor Swift is walking right by me. Keep cool, nothing, everything's good. My girlfriend goes, holy bleep, it's Taylor Swift. And I say, I'm just gonna keep eating, it's cool, it's a small restaurant. She walks in. At the time, I didn't know who he was. I thought he was someone's brother. It was Connor Kennedy of the Kennedy family. Hence the hashtag TA for Taylor, CO for Connor. Oh. I had no idea about Taco at the time. Oddly enough, I guess I'm not into my pop culture as much as I thought I was. So Taco walks in, and I tweet out, you know you're at an awesome restaurant in the north end of Boston when Taylor Swift walks in. Oh my. Now, of course, all the Taylor Swift fans, and let me tell you, they get pretty creepy. They start asking me where. Where are you in the north end of Boston? I respond a couple times, not gonna tell. If I was eating out with my man Connor, I wouldn't want them to know either. So I don't tell them. Lots of tweets later, a couple hours go by. Restaurant just kept giving us free wine because I don't think they wanted us to talk. And I finally left. I finally tweeted out where we were. And then I get an email. And I wasn't really expecting this. So I get this email from a People magazine reporter. Were they into each other? What's going on? What was she wearing? Like I'm going to say the designer because I have no idea. So then I emailed the reporter back, I emailed him back, and I said, you know, really, she was more into her cell phone. And he didn't look like he was old enough to drive. A couple weeks go by, I'm on Facebook, and a friend of mine goes, oh my God, I just read My People magazine, and you're quoted on page 43. That edition of People magazine, page 43, fellow diner Eric Stoller had this to say. My cell phone, a little bit about her phone and about his clothes. Yeah, I'm in People magazine. I almost used it as a litmus test for my friends, the ones who told me about it, the ones who have subscriptions and or willingly buy People magazine. I kind of thought for a moment about unfriending them. Really? You read People? So I've got a People magazine at home. I'm thinking about laminating it. And that's a sentence I never thought I would say out loud in public. So the reach of a simple tweet can have unreal ramifications. I get into People magazine because I just go out to dinner one night. One tweet, bam, it goes out there. So huge ripple effects. And I never thought about it. Never thought about it happening like that. And I like to go and grab a lot of tweets. I do, any Mac users in here? Any Mac people? Command plus Shift plus 4. You know what I'm talking about? You ever done that? Brings up a little thing and you can screenshot everything. So like when all these people are in here tweeting stuff that you want to have on them later, it's like in your back pocket, so you're like, did you see what that person said later on? You do that, screenshot it, and then you can do what I do for a living, which is get up in front of people and give talks about social media and Taylor Swift. Okay? So I found this tweet from someone oddly enough named Taylor. No relation to T Swift. And she says something I thought was very insightful. Here we go again, all the things we said, and not a minute spent thinking regret. Now, I'm a big social media cheerleader. I think I just hit 32,000 tweets this week. I've been on Facebook since '04. Tried out Tumblr. I take pictures of food on Instagram like everybody else. The feet things, I get a little off with the feet photos, but other than that, I'm there. Now, but people don't think. And I think part of it is we've gotten so comfortable with sharing, we still have to remember what that sharing can do in terms of what you all are here for. You finish your major, you interview, you get a job. But it's not just about your cover letter and your resume anymore. If I Google your name, what happens? Who's Googled their name? Anything good? There's this one girl, when she Googled her name, a felon in Missouri came up #1. So I told her to buy her username, her actual name.com, because that would help with that. Do you know that right now, if you buy your name, so like ericstoller.com, you search for my name, that comes up #1. It's come up #1 forever. And there are 11 guys in the US alone named Eric Stoller. 2 of them are lawyers. I get receipts for them and stuff in the like, emails and whatnot. It's crazy. One of them, I knew when he had a baby, because I got the receipt for his crib. It's important to sort of know what's being out there and what's being said. So let's just sort of see what people are saying with regards to curry. Yeah. This is going to get R-rated in a couple of places. I've edited down a few times with the rule of, what would my mom say? But at the same time, it's useful. I feel like we need to have these guys turn off the camera, pixelate my face, pixelate your faces. Everybody's pixelated. Okay. So Morgan just got blamed for a bunch of empties found in the woods next to the house. Thank you, Curry College. Hashtag, you guys rock. I can't attest to this next one, because I have no personal experience on the matter, but something should be done. I guess if that's the biggest issue. I saw a flash on that one. Wow. And I think someone else retweeted it because they obviously agreed. And if we're lucky, they're in the room. Now this next one I had to redact it a little bit. Because Katie wasn't happy. Kakadu, as she's known on the Twitters. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure. I mean, she could be saying, thank you, Curry College. Just pulling flowers out of your garden. And who doesn't tweet about flowers in the garden? Everybody, for the most part, of the screenshots that I'm sharing, they're sharing as themselves. Unless Katie deletes this, And in a way, it's kind of too late, because what just happened? I just presented it on a, how big do you think this is? 20 by 20? It's really subtle. Once it goes out there, you have no idea what's going to happen. The second you hit publish or post, the internet's habit. This isn't even the juiciest one. Now I want you to do something that's going to freak some of you out. I want you to take out your phone if you don't already have it out. And I want you to share it with the person sitting next to you. Actually, hand it physically to them. This isn't just like a, there we go. Lock your phones, there you go. Now, my favorite part about this exercise is that some of you freaked out a little bit. Heart's going a bit. Some of you probably pulled out your battery. iPhone users, sorry, you can't do that. You hit the lock button as quickly as you could. If you don't have a password on there, they're just going to swipe and go to town. It's kind of interesting when you give away your phone, sort of your chief communications device. Most of the time you're going to be tweeting, you're going to be posting, you're going to be sharing, taking photos, then posting them via your phone. If it's this awkward to just give your phone over to the person sitting next to you, what's the impact that thing can have on your professional career? I mean, these guys up here, they're just like ready to go after each other because they can barely contain their nervousness right now. I mean, I think some of you have sort of like an old phone, like a flip phone you keep in your backpack just for this purpose if someone ever brings out this exercise. Hold on, let me give you my phone. Yeah, it's a nice Nokia flip phone from back in the day. Another thing about phones, interesting statistics around cell phones. 75% of all college students sleep next to their phone. How many of you sleep next to your phone? Yeah, almost more than 75. And you know what I'm talking about, you know the one eye phone check? It's so bright, you can't do two eyes, you're sleepy because you're tired. And then you switch eyes, and you think, oh, I'm better with this one. And then you can't see anything for a little bit. And then it keeps rotating on you too, and you're like, damn it, I can't get it to. And you've got one eye open, and you're just tweeting away, or you're posting. It sounds ridiculous, but these morning tweets, these late night posts, this can have ramifications on your career. And I think that we have to think about the fact that sideways phone usage could be problematic. But you could give your phones back now, if you haven't already. So let's be honest, some of you didn't last more than a few seconds. That phone was back in your possession. You were not going to let the other person have it. So we're not just posting on our iPads, or laptops, or computers. I'm obviously a Big Mac guy, so sorry PC people. BlackBerry, are those even phones anymore? They're certainly not smart. But think about that. Got to keep thinking about what we're posting, what we're saying, and especially when you're doing it with one eye open in the dark. Because people can Google that during the day. And it's such an interesting time right now because Facebook's 9 years old, Twitter is what? About 7 maybe? Going on 7 here? There's a lot of history there. There's a lot of material. A lot of searchable stuff. Google everything. Best part about social, though, is it's basically like this giant Swiss Army knife, which you can purchase if you want. They do make it. It's I think it's about $1,000 or so from Winger. Kind of like this Swiss Army knife. Social media can do all sorts of things for you. You know, you got the toothpick, the scissors. You can't see it, but at the very end there, it's kind of like a hypodermic needle. I'm not sure what that's for. Exactly, but it's there. And this is when you buy IKEA furniture. That's social media. Social media can be good, bad, it can cut you, it can help you open up stuff. It's versatile, it's communication tools. Nail clipper, I mean, you need a whole backpack just for your knife. How many of you read blogs? How many of you write blogs? Any bloggers in here? You just maybe'd. Like, I'm a maybe blogger. I get there, I write it, and I think about posting. It's okay. Maybe blogger, I like that. So, I'm an old school blogger. I started blogging in 2004 when I was in graduate school. I had no idea what I was doing. Blogging, what is that? Came across this blog, though, called Deuce. Anybody ever heard of Deuce? Or if you think it's French, you're like, it's Deuce. Heather Armstrong was a blogger who wrote this blog, Deuce. She had lots of wit, snark. She was funny. But most of her humor was about her coworkers that she worked with. Now, she gave everybody false names and exaggerated things. What it means to be deuced, though, is to get fired because of your blog, because of what you're doing on social. Heather posted on her blog that she started this website in February 2001. A year later, she was fired from her job because of the website. Her advice, which I think is quite useful, be ye not so stupid. No one wants to get fired because of what you write. And this was back in the day. I mean, this was when people weren't even thinking about this stuff. Now it's on everybody's radar. You've got legislation around employers not being able to request your Facebook password, which is a good thing. That doesn't mean that they can't Google you, though, or Bing you, Yahoo you, which kind of sounds dirty, so we're just going to move on. But use your head. Professionalism only works if you do it, right? Got some people who in this room who are dressed to the nines, you are looking good. But then you put it out there on your blog about your employer, colleague. Doesn't matter how good you look. Now, my favorite part about social is about conversations. Social media, it's not this. It's social. It's conversations. It's about interacting with other people, with brands, companies, potential employers. You can use social to get a job. It's really fun. You can also use it to engage with companies. And I want to share an example of a conversation that I had. You may have heard of them. JetBlue. Anybody fly? That's me miming an airplane. So I'm going on this trip, and I post this tweet. Got my press pass, my hotel's booked for this event. Now all I need to do is find a flight to Denver. So I post this on Twitter, and I say JetBlue and or US Airways. I flew about 100,000 miles last year. I had about 43, 44 trips of travel. And US Airways, I've got platinum status, and JetBlue, I fly them all the time. Mainly because I've got a love for their free TV. So I thought I'll see what they say. So moments later, I get a response from US Airways. We love having you on board. Check our website. Here's a link. I think to myself, oh, they sent me a special link just for me. I got platinum. You know, I can check 3 bags just because I want to. I click the link, it's the link to the homepage for US Airways. I think to myself, wow, I do not feel special right now. But then, JetBlue comes back in, enters the conversation. Well, you know which one we're partial to. Comfy seats, yummy snacks, TV, just a few things to help you make your decisions. And I realized at this moment that JetBlue is hitting on me. So I think to myself, well, I'll play your little game. Oh, JB, I heart your style. You got me this time. Your flights to Denver match my needs perfectly. And they're not done with me yet. You've made our day. Thanks for letting us take you to the Mile High City. I couldn't have planned that any better than that. Engage with folks. Converse with them. Apparently flirt with them. Engagement in these spaces, when it comes to your digital identity, when it comes to social media, it's not about how many followers you have or how many friends you've got. It's about this stuff. It's about, are people engaging with you, talking back to you, mentioning you, favoriting the material you put out there, retweeting your stuff. You want to engage in social media. Jump in, it's a conversation. Now, I don't know what it is about social. We are compelled to share everything. I woke up today, put on some shoes, had some coffee. I do tweet a lot about coffee, so I just put it out there. I can't really make fun of coffee tweets. But we share everything. And I've got some other gems here that people have shared. So Sarah, she kind of figured out, apparently, what you do with these various majors in different colleges at Boston University. School of Management, there's sex, money, greed. General Studies, crayons, glue, and stickers. Ouch. I wonder if she's like that all the time. This guy won the Heisman this year. And he's got a lot of people coming after him, but apparently when he goes to a casino, he gets 2,100 plus retweets and 1,500 favorites. Probably my favorite tweet of the year. Cardell Jones, anybody a football fan? Plays for Ohio State University. He's a third string freshman quarterback. Recruited most likely because of his athletic prowess, not necessarily because of his thoughts in the classroom. Now I say that with absolutely no sarcasm, because I think that's probably the truth of what happened. Because if you look at the website for Ohio State, because you can see what people major in, he's undecided. And I thought to myself, I really wish they had come back to him and said, let's talk about academic advising. Let's talk about your brand. Let's talk about what this looks like right now. It looks like you're here just to play football and you're not going to class. Instead, they yanked his Twitter account and suspended him a game, which, if you're a third string quarterback as a freshman at Ohio State and they suspend you a game, you're sitting on the bench like you were going to anyway. And then you see Ivy here. And my favorite thing about Ivy Fisher, Ivy Fisher has a plan A and a plan B. You put it out there on social, people are going to see it. I found this particular tweet because I gave the convocation this summer at Fisher College. And so I was searching for Fisher and college. And so Ivy Fisher, who tweeted about college, came up. And then I put it in my Fisher College Convocation talk. I want you all, on the count of 3, to say toy boat 3 times fast. Don't practice. Run it through your head. All right. I got this. All right, on the count of 3. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to say 3 times fast. Right? 1, 2, 3. Toy boat is an anagram for hot mess. Toy boat is one of those things where you can only say toy boat, toy boat, toy boat if you slow it down a bit, if you think about it. It's almost impossible to say it 3 times fast. I tried this morning, over and over again. People, if they watched me, if there's a camera in my apartment, in my home office, they would have thought this guy's out of his mind at me. And I thought, this next time, I've got it. I gotta unlock the code of toy boat. It just didn't happen. Gotta take a minute, just like you do with, say, toy boat, 3 times a little slower. Before you post, think about, am I angry? Am I fired up? Am I going to say something in the heat of the moment that I'm going to regret? If your heart's pounding furiously, take a second, take a couple seconds. If you've been out partying, and let's be honest, some of you have been looking a little rough today. So you've been up for a few hours, right? A couple. Take a minute. Think about what you're saying. Think about the photo that you're posting. And if you have only one friend on Facebook, that one person, they could still take your stuff and share it. Screenshot it. Bam, it's up on a huge screen. Take a moment. Now, this next one, I was doing the one eye, early morning, just checking email, hop over to Instagram, gonna check Instagram, see what people are taking photos of, the night before. It's mostly their food, their cats, the kids. And then this photo pops up from a former student of mine who's in nursing school. And I thought to myself, 1, I'm going to have to edit this photo before I put it in a presentation. And 2, we got a lot of work to do still. A lot of work to do. So she posts this. And I have edited it for your convenience. She did not have an Instagram kilt on. I added that to Photoshop. Best time of my life, no filter. That's the first hashtag. Then the next hashtag is real life. The third hashtag didn't even get completed properly because she's apparently too wasted to put it out there.
Wow.
Yeah, and her friend is all kinds of wrecked. I thought I was disappointed. I know she can do better. I know she can be better. I know you can have tons of fun. Why in the hell would you ever post this photo? Because she sure didn't take it. Someone else took the photo, and then she took it and posted it. And I thought, I don't understand. Why would you ever do this to yourself? It gets better, yeah. Matt Perez's friend, Mark, down here at the bottom. Mark's upset because they don't even have damn cups. When I showed this to Drew University's Student Conduct Office, you can imagine how curious they were with this. And that's Matt Perez, real name, by the way. There's no such thing as privacy on the web. If you're on Twitter and you have a private account and you let anybody follow you, they have access to your stuff. Unless you're on Facebook and you have 0 friends, which is like being in a gymnasium and you're just talking to yourself, posting stuff. Hey, look at my cat. Oh, no likes on this status today. There's no such thing as privacy. And if you think there's privacy, then Facebook comes out with something like the graph, right? That came out with just the other day. It makes it far easier for people to creep on your business. Privacy is this fluid, strange thing. But again, when it comes to social and your digital identity, if you put it out there on the web, people got it. Speaking of people, Facebook's got 1 billion plus active users now. And that doesn't even include China, because China restricts access to Facebook. That's so much searchable content from your lives. Now, I think what's going to happen is people are going to shift a little bit, because right now, people like me, I'm mid-30s, and I've been swimming in the social soup for a really long time, so I kind of get it. But a lot of people, they don't. They think of social like this. Oops, there we go. They love judging you. When you were 14 and you posted something on Facebook, they're going to judge you for that. Especially when it's easier now to search for your stuff. I think it's going to shift a little bit when it comes to digital identity. It's going to allow people to mature and transition, just like we do in real life, face-to-face. But I think it's gonna be a little bit longer. It's gonna be a little bit longer. So until then, we're gonna be just like Michaela, wrinkling our nose, silver medal and all. Anybody like to make YouTube videos? Any YouTubers in here? The guy with the camera? Yeah. Shocking. 4 billion views a day. Now I'm going to show you some videos, so hopefully I don't blow your equipment. I'll show you this one first. A couple things about that video. When Tom Ska made that video, his institution, they were so upset. So upset. Which, by the way, second part of that is it's not a spelling error, and roll in the UK is spelled that way. Yeah, that's right. Some of you are like taking notes, scoring, and whatnot. After it got 1 million views, his institution kind of came around and said, we'd like it if we could share your video with other people. Kind of went viral. What you put out there can be useful for getting a job. Case in point. Again, I like spelling. Really difficult words. I went to Oregon State for grad school. And since then I've been tied into a lot of what they've got going on YouTube and whatnot and social. And I saw this video several years ago, and I want to share it with you. I thought it was really well done. It was for a student contest from the Alumni Association. Students make their videos, get judged, win a prize, that kind of thing.
My name is Daryl Black. I'm a senior at Oregon State, and I want to tell you what I think it means to be part of OSU. I wake up at 7 in the morning to get to class. I bike. Sometimes I walk. The weather here can sometimes be a little wet. Now, I don't want to repeat what's already been said. The funding you are providing is unbelievable. The lives you are changing are countless. And the history you're making is amazing. I don't want to repeat it because being part of OSU to me is about something simpler. It's going to home games and screaming your lungs out even when the Utes are losing. It's all-nighters spent studying for classes we'll forget about over the summer. I think a friend put it best when he said that OSU is a place to learn how to learn. This is an open letter to donors and friends of OSU. I know that many students would agree that we love our campus, and everything you do for it. But what I love more than anything else is you provide a means to a dream for every student and their family, including myself. We might not think it now, but all 23,761 of us will agree that this OSU experience was because of you and everyone who contributes to this amazing school. So thank you.
The best thing about this video is there's hardly anybody around. It shows that the campus is just devoid of people. So he makes this video and he wins first prize for the contest. And you know when there's a sporting event, like a big time one, like Big Ten or Pac-12, obviously you can tell I'm born and raised in the Midwest, do a lot of West Coast stuff. What's the equivalent out here? It's all the conferences, they just change, right? You could be in California and you're playing Maryland, I don't know. But they get a commercial break, right, for their school. So this commercial comes on when Oregon State was playing another team earlier this year.
What does it mean to be powered by Orange? Well, if we see something broken, we fix it. If we see that there's a problem, we solve it. The bigger the challenges we face, the greater the opportunity to rise up and meet them. At Oregon State University, that's what we do. It's who we are. It's who we've always been.
So it turns out, Daryl got himself a full-time job doing video for Oregon State. He used his progression, the alumni video, helped them make that last video about the environment, and he got hired as a web producer. Just fairly recently, actually. I just saw this, January 15th. It's all because of YouTube. Social is powerful, right? It can be useful for getting a job. I once sold a photograph to National Geographic because they found it on my blog. I had no idea it was going to happen. All right, so Twitter. Twitter is the most powerful tool in your social media arsenal, okay? When it comes to networking, connecting with colleagues, resources, sharing, learning, searching. Who in here is not on Twitter? Get on there. It sounds silly. It sounds kind of funky. It's probably the most powerful social media tool. And again, if Twitter goes away, that's okay. If Facebook goes away, that's okay. But the functionality, what we do with it is what matters. So the more skill and competency you develop today, the better. Because people are listening to what you're putting out there. For example, Gatorade has mission control. Dell, they have their social media command center. And really all it is a bunch of blue light with some monitors. But they're still paying attention to what people are saying about them and about the company. And I found some other tweets here about what people say about their jobs. Because we all get frustrated, we all have a bad day. Put it out there, like Chloe did. She needs a drink after work, and she put it in all caps, which means she is serious. And then Laura, or Lara, because it's not Laura, she's drinking at work. She can't even wait for the day to be over. I guarantee you some people know who she is. And Courtney is hiding in her car for 16 more minutes. She's savoring those minutes. Because today she hates her job and she shared it with everybody. Erica, well, she retweeted something from the real Adam Rice. So we know it's real, because it says so. It's the real Adam Rice. He wants more characters. And I did a search for people saying things like, I hate my job, I hate my boss. And it's just rife with tweets, and rife with tweets of people's real names, their photos. Folks, if you're going to tweet stuff like this out, you might as well have the picture of a unicorn and be Purple Dragon 24. Because you'll throw them off the scent with the dragon unicorn thing. And I was searching for more Curry College tweets. I I get excited when I see people tweeting about their school, because you really know it's going to be a good connection. So Dave, apparently he's stockpiling humans. And so I go to his profile. He's 19. He's a digital media artist. He's got his own business, pricing, examples of his work, serious inquiries only. I think to myself, all right, cool, you know, entrepreneur. Scroll down through his tweets. Intoxication is needed on this Thursday night. I think to myself, well, Dave, your bio says you're 19 there, pal. You're just giving people what they don't want to see. Burnout Barbie. She needs a job desperately and nobody will hire her. It's embarrassing. I don't think that's really something that she should worry about that much, because her profile, again, I don't know what's with the first year students, but she's a freshman. She's a die-hard liberal. She likes electronic music. She has a wild life. Her Tumblr is Blue State, as you can see. And I looked through her tweet stream, and folks, this isn't like I was scrolling. This was in the first 10 or so that you see right there. And I go, you know, I don't understand why people won't hire you. Last time I checked, and I know there's medical marijuana now, it did just get passed, I believe, in November. That's not legal. And that's a photo that you put out there. I believe we call it evidence. I just don't get it. Sometimes, I mean, just think, if Burnout Barbie had tried to say toy boat 3 times after she sobered up, she might not have posted this. I mean, I do like that people are honest. Like Marcus here. Sally Mae gave you a $4,000 financial aid check. You only got $50 left. No school supplies, parking pass, or dorm, but you got that iPhone 5. At least he's being honest. I like his honesty. I applaud that. Paris is a little upset. She's trying to get a paper in. I just really wanted to put this one up because it's an excuse to show shizzballs as a hashtag. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Now, I would be remiss if I tried to come across as someone who has never screwed up on social, who has never done anything that could compromise their brand, their identity, how people perceive them. Because really it's about perception, right? You could have something that's fairly honest, fairly innocent, but if people perceive it differently, take it out of context, or don't have enough context, it doesn't really matter. And like I said, I was going through my tweet archive last night from 2008, back in the day. This is like old school Twitter right now. Can't even talk. And this is before it was serious, or so I thought. And so now, and I tweet out, and now being followed by professional colleagues used to be my sanctuary for quick but necessary F-bombs, flowers, that is all. Probably not my most shining moment on Twitter. Last time I ever did it, use an F-bomb on Twitter, was back in 2008. Something good for the most part. And it took me, I tweeted a lot. I joined in 2007. And those are all F-bomb free right there. Now your personal brand is a big part of this. And I want to say that you have no split personality when it comes to the web. Some of you might have 2 accounts. My advice, it's far easier to have 1 account to rule them all, Lord of the Rings style, than to have 2 and then get tripped up, like when the Red Cross tweeted about drinking, because the professional who's handling their social media had both accounts on their phone, They talked about getting slithered from the Red Cross account. Yeah, that worked really well for them. I don't want any of you to end up on Rich Kids of Instagram. Because then it goes on this Tumblr. I don't want that to happen. I want those moments where you go, I'm so glad that person's having a good experience. Close-knit community, good attitude, best years of your life, love being a senior. The positive stuff. I'm wearing a watch that looks just like the one that my grandfather used to wear. He used to give me a lot of advice around education and learning. And here's a guy who didn't even graduate from high school. And now, the only thing different about this watch is that it has Indiglo. His didn't have Indiglo because that wasn't around back then. When it comes to this social media stuff, this is like my grandfather's advice. It's like old advice that's still useful, but new tech, like my watch. People did stupid stuff with phones. They did dumb stuff with letters. But now it just amplifies things so much further than ever before. You're going to be tweeting possibly as a brand. Like my friend Marcia, who tweets from the basement. Because her bio says that she's a program supervisor and basement dweller. Or like Paige, who tweets for Starbucks. I tweeted at Paige last night and I said, hey, where are Brad and Lee? Because Brad and Lee had been the people tweeting for Starbucks for years. And I said, what's going on, Solo Paige? Apparently Brad went to Nike and Lee went to a different department. Really enjoyed this tweet from Kurt. Although when he says first day of spring classes, I feel like it should be warmer. Really, I just didn't get that. Now, here's the other wrinkle to this. Anybody on Google+? Ooh, okay. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to get a Google+ account. Soon. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. Because what's going to happen is Google is heavily invested in the search business, right? That's their bread and butter. You all are going to be searched like crazy when it comes to your job search. When people see your name, it's going to happen. And what's going to happen with Google Plus is they're integrated into Google search. So if you have a Google Plus profile and you have a lot of stuff in there about you and your professionalism and your career, and your major, your interests, it helps you build your brand because it helps you have content that's searchable on the web that Google really likes. Why? Because it's part of Google. Showcase your professional self in a way that's much more sort of structured around professionalism than any other social media network you could possibly have. And with 200 million registered users, that's a huge community. I've had people offer me jobs through LinkedIn. This guy wanted to connect with me on LinkedIn, and this is one of those don't do's. I don't know who he thinks he is. I don't know him, but apparently he puts a quote up here from someone who says he makes good products, insanely great, which I think is stolen from Steve Jobs. And then he says his main functions come with fun, blah, 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 blah. Make tons of money without being a flowers about it. What? Someone called him MacGyver 2.0, and apparently his company has been around, him working at it for 36 years, 2 months. He looks like he's not 36. This is his professional profile, and I think to myself, I'm not going to hire this guy unless this is satire and he's trying to be the Onion. And he's not. So much good data and information. Build out your profile. Build out your experiences. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? I have a whole bunch of recommendations from people who have titles that are far cooler than mine. You get stats and little graphs here around groups, so join groups, like your professional associations or perhaps Curry College's group, but join these communities, and then you can see good stuff about them, which you could use in your search, because the more information you have, the better. Data wins. Now, I don't know what they're doing yet with it, but have you seen these endorsements, those of you that are on LinkedIn? It's kind of like gamification in a way for LinkedIn. Now, the fact that I have 81 social media endorsements, I'm not really sure what that means, or when someone endorses you for blog, but I like the fact that I have 31 for public speaking. If people see that you have endorsements from a trusted community, every little thing helps. It's a competitive job market. Get on LinkedIn, and get on LinkedIn as yourself. Use your real name. Okay, so I have a thing for watches, clearly. We're almost out of time. I'm going to share a couple more tweets. Michelle literally gotten like 70 emails about this damn career fair I can't go to. I admire her enthusiasm, but I don't think she should be critiquing the fact that they're trying to help her get a job. You got to work with your career services folks. Now you outnumber them, probably what, 70 to 1?
1 to 1,067.
Oh, okay, so it's a ratio. We're going to work on that ratio just a tad bit. So don't sign up for the same time block. That'll be awkward. They're your best asset and resource to this. They'll help you out. Stephanie, career services helped me fix my resume, and looks amazingly professional. I wish they would have helped her with her tweeting. So don't do that. Get help with your resume, but don't tweet about it in that manner. Better yet, be like Elmo. Super helpful, feel much better about my resume and upcoming career fairs. Because someday, if you're lucky, you'll get to hold up a sign just like I did once. It was a social media day at BU, Mashable put on. You may have heard of them if you do a lot of social media stuff. They put me on a panel with the guy who does social media for Dunkin' Donuts. So that was kind of fun. And it's all because of social that I got that invitation. Can't explain it to my parents. I don't want them on Facebook or Twitter or anything really that has to do with the computer, so I'm not going to tell them about it. But social media can be the most powerful thing right now in making connections. I have friends and colleagues and folks that I've networked with through social media, through Facebook, my blog, through Twitter, through Instagram, but I've never met in person. But we've been connected professionally for years. And then if we do get to meet at a conference, it's like we've been old friends for a long time. And that has amplified my ability to get into my career much quicker than I think I normally would have been able to, really because of social. So having said that, I wish you all the best with this conference, and thank you for inviting me.